Hello and good morning, cadets. Once again, yesterday we studied about the expansion of kingdom by the Delhi Sultanates. In that we studied about garrison town, we studied about hinterland, we studied what was the purpose of hinterland, what is the purpose of capturing hinterland, and we also studied what is the first step taken by Delhi Sultanates in the expansion of kingdom. Now we will study about what is the second step taken by Delhi Sultans in the expansion of the kingdom. The second step taken in the expansion occurred along with the external frontiers of sultanates. In the external frontiers of Delhi Sultans, what they done is they started military expedition. I told yesterday the military expedition was mainly carried by the two kings or sultans. One is Alauddin Khilji and the second one is Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Alauddin Khilji were considered as the two sultans who took lot of effort to expand their kingdom outside the Delhi. Okay. Now let us observe the map of the kingdom during the time of Alauddin Khilji. You can see this map belongs to the kingdom of Alauddin Khilji. Map 3, Alauddin Khilji's campaign into South India. It is there in your textbook. So those who have textbook copy, please open your textbook. Now, it is very important, cadets, to understand the land area which is captured by Alauddin Khilji. You see, Alauddin Khilji captured almost half of India. This is the area which was captured by Alauddin Khilji. Now, Alauddin Khilji ruled India, keeping which city as the capital city? That is Delhi. Delhi as a capital. I explained previously that it was very difficult for the sultans of Delhi to control Bengal. Now you see, this is a Bengal. Okay. So in this longer distance, it was very difficult to reach in those days. So once the expedition is over, very rarely these kings controlled the frontiers which were far from their capital cities. Now try to understand or try to recall. In the second lesson I explained about Rani Rudrama Devi. Can you remember Rudrama Devi belongs to which dynasty? Rudrama Devi belongs to Kakatiyas. You can see this is Kakatiyas of Warangal. Okay, Kakatiyas of Warangal. So Kakatiyas of Warangal were contemporaries of Alauddin Khilji. That means when Alauddin Khilji ruling India, he attacked even Kakatiyas of Warangal. Okay, he attacked Tanjore. Can you remember Tanjore belongs to which kingdom? We studied in the chapter number 2. Yeah, Cholas ruled Tanjore. So Alauddin Khilji, this is the expedition of Alauddin Khilji. Year is mentioned here. So this is the year where he started his expedition or in expansion of the kingdom. Please observe the map and make a note of the kingdoms which prevailed during the period of Alauddin Khilji's expansion. Observe map 3 carefully. The arrow mark is nothing but the campaigns or the expeditions, expansion of Alauddin Khilji. That is what map number 3. You see, this is a map number, one more map, same in a different way. It is once he captured southern India, he left South India, but most of the South India which he is captured, he could not control because of the distance. But this area of North India, you can see this entire area of North India was totally under the control of Khilji dynasty, and the Khilji dynasty's time period is 1290 to 1320. Relatively, when you compare this dynasty with Mughals and all, the time period of Khilji dynasty was very less. Why? Because in the Khilji dynasty also, Alauddin Khilji was the only known king, Sultan. After death of Alauddin Khilji, his successors or rebellion inside the country or inside the kingdom, so they could not control after death of Alauddin Khilji. So observe map, both the maps. This map is given in a textbook. This is the map of Alauddin Khilji, is the north expedition. I told you that one more king who was interested in expanding his kingdom other than Alauddin Khilji was Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, during the period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, his armies reached across a large part of subcontinent. Aurangabad. I explained about Aurangabad. We had a reference about Aurangabad when I explained Rashtrakutas. Okay, Rashtrakutas, they were very famously known for Kailashnath cave temple. Kailashnath cave temple is in Aurangabad. Aurangabad was renamed as Aurangabad by Aurangzeb. So that means definitely Aurangabad was not the original name. What was the name prior to Aurangabad? Prior to Aurangabad, it was called as Tughlaqabad, because Muhammad bin Tughlaq renamed that as Tughlaqabad. That means it was not the original name of Tughlaqabad. It was previously known as Devagiri. Yadavas of Devagiri. Devagiri was renamed as Tughlaqabad. Tughlaqabad was renamed as Aurangabad by Aurangzeb. Why I gave you 3 examples? Because this particular place was changed according to the names of the dynasties. Now let us observe the map of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. You see, Muhammad bin Tughlaq dynasty ruled from 1321 to 1398. Please once again try to remember the time period. The time period is very important. So when you see the map of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he reached almost to the down south till Thanjavur and including Punjab and present day Rajasthan and almost entire North India and South India, the huge kingdom controlled by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. But it's the same story here also. After death of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the successors of Muhammad bin Tughlaq could not control that huge empire. That means they could not maintain that huge empire because of the lack of military power. So we studied about expansion of kingdom outside the garrison town. We studied the example of 2 kings, that is, one is Alauddin Khilji, the second one is Muhammad bin Tughlaq. In the later classes also, in the later class, we are going to study about a comparative study of administration of Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Alauddin Khilji. Tughlaq was considered as a mad king of history because it is always said that Tughlaq had a lot of ideas of administration, but his ideas of administration was not implemented properly because of lack of planning. So at present, if some administrator is failed in his administration, generally people call him as Tughlaq. So Tughlaq means who got a lot of plans in his mind but failed in execution or implementation of plan. So let us move further to the topic, that is prayer place of Muslims is called masjid. In your textbook it is explained what is the meaning of mosque. Hindus visit temple. Temple is a worshipping place of Hindus. Christians visit church. Muslims visit mosque, means worshipping place of Muslims is called mosque. And what is the name of worshipping place of Parsis? This is a question for you. Parsis. Okay. Now let us study. You have to answer the question which I asked to you. Let us study what is the meaning of mosque. A mosque is called as a masjid in Arabic. Literally a place where congregation or religious meetings take place. That is called congregation. You may be heard about recently about Jamaat-e ul Islam congregations. Means Muslims gather in a place called mosque to offer prayer to their God Allah. Muslims read their prayers, that is called namaz. So prayer read by Muslims are called as namaz. Members of congregation means members of that Jamaat means group. What do you mean a Jamaat or a group means? Actually every Muslim is attached to a mosque. Like Hindus, we say that the God belongs to our family, means our family God. Like that Muslims belongs to a congregation, and in that congregation or in that mosque or in that their worshipping place, Imam will be there. The leader is called Imam. Imam is like we in Hinduism we have Pandit, or in Christianity there is church father. Like in Islam there is Imam. Imam will deliver the speeches regarding Islam. Generally on Friday Muslims they gather in the mosque. You may be observed in our school also, or outside. You can maybe you are observed in different places also. Friday mosque is considered as a general mosque, means Muslims other than Friday they are asked to do prayer in their home. The prayer of Muslim is called as what? It's called as namaz. But during Friday, on Friday they have to visit mosque and offer their prayer. While during prayer, Muslims should stand facing Mecca. Mecca is a place where the holy Kaaba is there. That is called Makkah, where Muhammad Paigambar. Okay. So when Muslims do their namaz, they should face Makkah and do namaz. 5 times in a day they have to do namaz. So you can see a pic of namaz here. Okay, this is the way in which they do namaz in a public place or in their homes. There is a particular system which they have to do namaz. While doing namaz, towards which place they have to face? That is towards Mecca. You can see this is a congregation of Mecca. Generally a Muslim, like a Hindu is considered the ultimate goal of an Hindu is to visit Kashi, Varanasi, isn't it? The same way Muslims, the ultimate aim of a Muslim should be visit Mecca at least once in his lifetime. So a Muslim who visited Mecca is considered as, means he done his ultimate or final religious duty. That is what we say. A Muslim, if possible, should visit Mecca at least once in his lifetime. So this is what about mosque. So what is mosque? Mosque is a prayer place of Muslims. Now we are going to make a comparative study. You may be observed several mosques in and around your place or in Bijapur. Ibrahim Roza you visited. Opposite of Ibrahim Roza you can see a mosque. You visited Gol Gumbaz. Left side of the Gol Gumbaz you can see a mosque. Near Rashtakota house you can see a mosque. So mosque is a very common monument which Bijapur, of course we can see mosque in and around Bijapur town. Observe figure number 2. In this figure number 2 you can see a huge minaret tower. It is a minaret or a tower. This mosque was enlarged by Iltutmish. The mosque was enlarged by Iltutmish and Alauddin Khilji. The minar was built by 3 sultans, that is Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. This is called as minar. Qutub Minar, isn't it? So Qutub Minar is nothing but a long standing structure, that is called Qutub Minar. So this minar is constructed by 3 kings, that is Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Observe figure number 2. Observe figure number 3. Begumpuri Mosque. This mosque, you see, this mosque is completely different from the mosque which you have seen in the first. This is built during the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq in the capital city of Delhi. Observe number 4. This is built by Sikandar Lodi. Reign of Sikandar Lodi by his minister, of course. It is built by his minister. This mosque, you see, the structure of this mosque or the style of construction of this mosque is different from the mosque which is we are seen in the figure 3 and figure 4. Figure 5. Figure 5. In this figure 5 you can see the upper structure of the mosque is slightly different. You can see a tomb is there here. Gol Gumbaz you have seen a tomb, isn't it? And this, the curving portion, that is called the Indo-Islamic style of construction. This is different style of construction. This is called huge arch shape. Okay, and tombs are there. You can see tombs are there. So why these figure 2, 3, 4, 5 is given? It is very clearly, it is an explanation that over a period of time the style of construction of mosque also changed with the changing of dynasties. Now there is something which the textbook expects you to do. Compare figure 2, 3, 4 and 5. What are the similarities and the difference you notice amongst the mosque? Mosque in figure 3 and 4 and 5 show the evolution in architectural traditions that culminate during Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan's construction of a huge mosque near to Taj Mahal. So that is considered as the best or the finest construction of the mosque by any Muslim kings. So please observe all those figures so that we can make the comparative study in the next class. Observe once again, go through the textbook. So what you have to do now, you have to observe the figure number 5, and very important, you will get a figure number 5, that is figure number 7 in the chapter number 5. Okay, in the chapter number 5 you can get the figure. I will show you all these together. Now you see figure 2, figure 3, figure 4, figure 5, and this is figure 7. This figure 7 is from chapter number 5. You see here's a huge building with the proper planning of fortification. Protection wall is there, boundary wall is there, huge entrance is there, and this is the prayer hall, and this is the place where they have a huge pond or a water source. Those who are visited Ibrahim Rosa, you may be observed the same structure. So this is what we study about evolution in the architecture style of Sultans of Delhi. Take care, observe all these figures, study history with lot of curiosity and interest, because history definitely gives you lot of knowledge about the past. I already explained you, a best and a proper knowledge of the past will always help you to be a best citizen in the present day. Thank you, take care, I'll meet you in the next class. Bye.